New Art Every Day, Light and Dark, by Boyd Campbell.
What does it feel like to slow dance in the sunlight with somebody you love? Someone who sees you and won't ever leave you, no matter what comes. I need someone to die for, write poems and cry for. I won't be ashamed. I'm nobody's wife, no one's woman. I won't play that game. I'd give anything for someone to say that they can't live without me, and they'll be there forever. I'd give anything for someone to say to me, no matter how bad it gets, they won't turn away from me. What do you do when you're always waiting to find love at first sight? If I'm naive, why does all the poetry say that I might?
I'm only allowed one drink a week. Looking at my calendar, it seems to be October 2047. Yesterday, when I wrote about Sally Ride, my brain switched to Challenger without bridging the two ideas. That's an artifact of ADHD, not Maker's Mark. I'm actually pretty good about the one drink a week thing. One aspect of ADHD is that your brain can entertain two separate ideas independently, then randomly merge or switch between them. There have been times when, in the middle of a carnal act, I'll start discussing a painting I saw. I'm literally the worst possible boyfriend. Sally Ride did not die on Challenger, but for a moment, the two ideas went from separate to together in my broken mind. But just like with mosaics, sometimes broken can be beautiful and brilliant. When Ray Bradbury and other writing teachers talk about the magic what if, this is literally it. What if the two ideas were the same idea? Asking about how I paint, a friend opened up an entirely new avenue of how I think about art, specifically my art. Uncle Boyd is an artist. I denied it for a long time. I denied a lot of things. I'm not entirely trustworthy, but I'm working on it. Sometimes I say she's my first friend. The New Art Every Day thing was her idea, although she may have been kidding. I'm almost certain she was kidding, but it may have been a challenge to see if I'd actually try. That's okay. Friends challenge each other in kidding ways, and sometimes it's beautiful. That's why having a workout buddy is so important.
I bet you can't squat that.
Bet I can.
Bet.
Oh yeah, bet. Technically, Martha Hammond was my first friend. She was 40 years older than me, though. A writing teacher at Mississippi College, Hammond saw something in me that nobody else did. Boyd couldn't talk properly, and he couldn't read, but somehow Hammond saw a writer in me. Moving to St. Andrews in 1972, meeting my first friend, nobody knew I'd only been talking for about 26 months. In my baby book, Mrs. Nelson, my kindergarten teacher, sent Mama a note saying, "Boyd's talking is much better." Dr. Alexander said I'd grow out of it before school starts. He was wrong by about 6 months. In first grade, I was so afraid of other kids hearing me speak that I wouldn't ask the teacher to let me potty in the little boys' room. Instead, I just held it all day until one day I couldn't hold it anymore. Peeing yourself in class is a pretty horrifying experience. Being just 5 and 6 at the time, I doubt if my classmates would even remember if I didn't write about it, but I do write about it. When I write, I include light and dark. I do that for a reason. There are two entries to art. There's color and there's light and dark. I can look at one piece from an artist and tell which was the door they entered first. Before she died, Edwina Goodman gave Galloway Memorial United Methodist Church a whole pile of her paintings to sell to raise money for the church. Knowing her my entire life, I had no idea how prodigious she was at painting, nor how productive, until she died. When I was in rehab, trying to be alive again, a painting she made of gladiolas, acrylic on canvas, became my North Star. Jim Wilkerson curated a number of these paintings for a show at Brown's Frame Shop that opens Thursday. Mary B. will be my companion. I told her to bring a pen in case she has to sign autographs. In this crowd, the little bird has many fans. I laughed today when an article in Mississippi Today mentioned her new boss, Barry White, at the Mississippi Department of Archives and History. The first, my last, my everything, and the answer to all my dreams. You're my sun, my moon, my guiding star, my kind of wonderful, that's what you are. Different Barry White, but it's still funny. He must get so sick of that. I'm the kind of evil friend that would send him singing telegrams saying, "Can't get enough of your love, baby," for his birthday. Looking at Edwina Goodman's work, it's abundantly clear that her entry into art is color. Brilliant, bountiful color, in combinations I would never dream of. Contrast, symmetry, and repetition are the most important qualities of art, and she does them all with color. Wyatt Waters also enters through color, and so does L.V. Hull. From the small town of McAdams, Mississippi, Hull uses color to turn found objects into art. When they announced this exhibit, I saw that one funder was the Community Foundation of Mississippi, which I fully expected, but also the Andy Warhol Foundation for the Visual Arts, which blows my mind. Our little art museum is bringing the meat. That's two of my Chi Omega girls. My precious Janie runs the Community Foundation of Mississippi, and Betsy Bradley has run the Mississippi Museum of Art for a while now. She used to have the prettiest chestnut hair. Now it's white. Mine is gone. She got the better deal. She married a boy I met in my second shot at second grade. I'd been talking like a human being for a little more than 2 years by then. At Millsaps, Betsy bunked with the little bird's mom for a while. All these sorts of interwoven layers of connectivity are what make Mississippi, Mississippi. I used to sneak into Sanders to visit Betsy's dorm room to try and catch a glimpse of her roommate and measure how well she liked Millsaps. I'm pretty sure Betsy knew what I was up to. There's a really interesting study that suggests whether you dream in black and white or in color is entirely tied to what sort of media you were exposed to as a child. People with black and white TVs are more likely to dream in black and white than people with color TVs. I question the veracity of this study now that there's something like 2.5 generations that never heard of a black and white TV, but some still dream in black and white. I dream in black and white. Color dreams usually mean I wake up in a cold sweat. If you asked me to imagine Little Bird's mom, it would be in black and white. I could then use my memory to go back and add color. This is precisely how I paint. Light and dark first, then color. That's why I want to learn watercolor so badly. It blends so beautifully with pen and ink. Edwina Goodman's grandson, William, like me, enters into art through light and dark. He's better at it than I am. A lot of people are better at it than I am. William is Little Bird's age. They're friends. Little Bird's dad took Bill Goodman's job after they hit him in the head with a stick and dragged him out of the office while he was unconscious, so he'd retire. It wasn't that bad, but knowing Bill Goodman, I'm pretty sure it was close. There was a small group of Daddy's friends who acted like I wasn't a complete idiot. Bill Goodman was among them. He'd sometimes tell me to shut the hell up, though. Good advice, really. That William creates art with light and dark, but his grandmother worked mostly in color, is interesting to me. They share a history. They share a perspective. They even share genetic material, but their means of making art are so very different. While he works in several areas of art, William is best known for his mixed media or collage art. Brilliant with color, it's light and dark that becomes the immediate focus of his work. It hits you like an icy cold Pacific wave. Looking at his website, some pieces, like Reflections 3, are entirely light and dark. Firebird adds brilliant color, but still, 80% of the canvas is light and dark. Part of my New Art Everyday initiative, I painted a black moor goldfish. I used to breed them. I used to love fish tanks almost as much as beautiful women. Jeff Good is trying to rehome this absolutely beautiful coral tank. I'm so impressed with his husbandry of that tank. A big sump system like that is like having another child. His actual children turned out pretty well, too. Same rules, I suppose, only living coral doesn't date. I don't know how I would have handled the little bird dating for the first time. I was wrestling with angels in the crystal cave at the time. I suspect I might have given her a $20 bill, my phone number, and a hand grenade. That should just about cover it for a girl's first date. My first date was a pretty terrible movie with Bill Cosby and Sidney Poitier with my mom driving. Pretty uneventful. She was the girl Coach Smith said I was in love with. I wasn't. Nice girl, though. My Katie had just died the summer before. There's no way Coach Smith knew that, but he was pretty good at seeing when something was wrong with me. Like I said, New Art Every Day was kind of a joke between friends, a friendly challenge from my first friend. I don't think she thought I'd actually do it, which is exactly why I did it. It has been so remarkably successful. New Art Every Day means better sleep, better exercise, I write more, I complain less, and my writing has gone through the roof, even though I've twice panicked because I thought the well ran dry, only to have it nearly drown me hours later. I have to learn to trust. I especially have to learn to trust my friends. I think not trusting my friends is what killed me. Hey Boyd, this is Brent. I'm downtown, working on the IBC, you know. It's that time again. I can see the window of your apartment in the Standard Life building, but I can't see you. I haven't seen or talked to you in forever. I'd love to see you. I'd love to work with you again, kiddo. Call me. The IBC is the International Ballet Competition. I didn't call him. Cutting Brent out of my life meant I was ready to die. I think he knew that. I wouldn't make myself die as Katie did, but I was willing to wait for it. The first time I talked to Brent in well over a decade was when I was in rehab. You know, they hired Sam to take Lance's job. They did what? Visiting with John Corlew and his dogs? I joked that I had to get better now. My boy Sam is restarting the Millsaps Players. To be fair, the players never actually died, not entirely. They just spent a few years sleeping on the sofas of friends, while the school figured out how to give them a new home. The new home is the old studio classroom for the art department, where B.B. Wolfe and Lucy Millsaps taught me drawing. Joking with Brent, I said, of all the neck kid folks I saw at Millsaps, 75% of them were right here. That's probably an accurate figure, but trust me, the very last thing you want to do is establish any sort of relationship with the naked person from your figure studies class. When I write, sometimes, fairly often actually, people will say, "I'm so sorry you had to go through that." I get accused of using my stories as therapy all the time. While I'm sure it must seem like that, I don't think that's what I'm doing. Writing feels like painting, especially when I get lost in it. A friend asked me to write a story about how I paint. Make it stream of consciousness, she said. A better writer than me, she knew exactly what stream of consciousness meant, although I'm pretty sure she had no idea what would come out of it if I did. How I Paint is my most popular story by something like 400%. It also embarrasses the crap out of me. It's the most intimate thing I've ever written. I told the little bird that under no circumstances was she allowed to read it. I don't know if she complied, but she's at least acting like she did. Girls can be tricky. That's what makes them worthwhile. Boys are less tricky. Well, yeah, I did climb the tree. I did have a snake around my neck. I did fall out. and I did wander back to the boys' side of campus, but I can explain. What? Oh, the snake is fine. Are you kidding? I know what's important. My ass broke my fall. That's how you do it, right? There's all these things in my head, all these events and memories. They're like the shards of broken glass bottles, hundreds, thousands of pieces, different colors, different values of light and dark, different levels of transparency. When I write, it's like a mosaic. I use all these broken pieces to create a new piece. It uses color. I love color. But the message, the body of the work, is light and dark. I'm not trying to heal myself or psychoanalyze myself. I'm trying to create. What I've learned is that I'm kind of a mutant. The only thing, and I've tried so many things, the only thing that can heal or psychoanalyze me is creating. Light and dark, color, intensity, balance, repetition, symmetry, cones, rods, notes, space, time, thought, love, pain, light, dark. That is how I paint. That is how I write. How that came out as an extraordinarily intimate sex act on an imaginary lady because I decided to trust stream of consciousness isn't something I would have predicted. Before publishing, I sent what I wrote to 2 friends, including the one who said I should write about it. I don't know that I can publish this. I'm embarrassed just having you read it. It's been called my best story. I honestly cannot tell. I'm too close to my own work to pick which is my favorite child. I will say that the process of writing it was like a beautiful dream. If I had to explain how I felt, I would say, I felt home. I always try to tell the truth when I make art. I think maybe that flush of embarrassment means that I'm telling deeper truths. I'm proud of the story, but Little Bird cannot read it. Neither can any of my sister's kids. Maybe my boy Jack, but only if he doesn't tell. I don't think of the things that have happened to me as good or bad. I think of them as light and dark. Light and dark have no moral implication. They are what turns paper into art. The process might be therapeutic, but I don't do it for therapy. I do it because if I don't create, I'll die. Creating and breathing are vital to me. All other priorities are rescinded, except love. Last week, burying T.W. Lewis was such a long day, loving and beautiful, but emotional. Since I didn't have time to work in the morning, I tried to work in the afternoon and the well ran dry. After a nap, I tried again. Still dry. I texted the little bird. I broke something. I can't create any more. It's very rare for me to bring in a friend to help. In the days before I spent over a decade quite dead in a tower in downtown Jackson, I would never ask for help from anyone. We didn't even discuss it. Just telling her restored me. I wrote a story about the little prince and sent it to her as proof that the well had water again. My friends are magic. I'm not good at trusting. For so long, I wouldn't trust that. Not trusting them, I probably ended up with more dark than light memories, but that's okay. Some of my best paintings are almost all dark. My friend asked me to write about how I paint. It's kind of like asking me to dance about how I sing. I can't really do either, but for her I would try, and because my friends are magic, it probably would be beautiful. One of the more secret parts of the Kappa Alpha Customs tries to teach young men the value of both light and dark in their lives. My friend Dick Wilson showed me a letter where Samuel Zenas Ammon discusses why he wrote the customs that way. It's hard for young boys to understand this, but young boys become old men, and then they understand it fully. Oh yeah, Dick Wilson is Little Bird's cousin. Welcome to Mississippi. Layers upon layers upon layers of Mississippi connectivity, light, dark, love, friendship, color, loads and loads of color.
To slow dance in the sunlight with somebody you love. Someone who sees you and won't ever leave you, no matter what comes. I need someone to die for, read poems and cry for. It won't Nobody's wife, no one's woman, and I won't play that game. I'd give anything for someone to say that they can't live without me, and they'll be there forever. I'd give anything for someone to say to me that no matter how bad it gets, they won't turn away from me. What do you do when you're always waiting to find love at first sight? If I'm naive, why does all the poetry say that I might?
The Life of Boyd is a reader-supported publication. To receive new posts and support my work, consider becoming a free or paid subscriber.